with what our goals are. So yeah, Sam, you want to open us up?
Sure. My name is Samantha Black-Menley. I am the community coordinator for 200,000 More Reasons. I stopped saying new. Aren't you proud of me?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
I am located in Jonesboro. So Amber, I'm going to shoot you an email about coming to see the food bank here in the next week. But we're just wanting to figure out how things are going. I don't want to say post-COVID, but kind of in this period as we're transitioning back into in-person ministries, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is just really for us to know what to do with our funding going forward and how we can help out local congregations.
And to be specific, what kind of funding we can be looking for. 200,000 More Reasons doesn't really qualify for a lot of grants because we're a pass-through, but you know, we have the foundation, and it's just kind of looking ahead to what we might need to work out with them if there's anything there for that we can write a grant for. So that's part of our conversation. I'm Mary Lewis. I'm the project coordinator for 200,000 More Reasons. So I am happy that Sam is with me and helping coordinate. She does a lot of the details in the communities, and then I'm doing a little more big picture items and helping us move in our trajectory. You know, we've had this long focus on feeding ministries and are not forgetting that, but we also have started to look at the whole child and how do we help people move out of poverty, and that's offering literacy specifically for kids, skills so that they have a greater chance for success in college or after school, but then also supporting those guardians, those parents, those families that support them. How can we help them be stronger and healthier families? And so we haven't talked about food in a while. We started, I think last time we gathered everybody, it was back when COVID hit, and we were trying to figure out what the heck is going on and how are we doing it. And so this will help us kind of say, this is what's happening. It's interesting to see who's not here and why. We can ask that question too. And if ministries are happening. So thanks for having me. Day is our facilitator, so you don't need to, she's got to host us. So she's going to do her own thing while she hosts us. But thank you.
So now I'm going to turn it over to our food bank reps. So Jeff, if you want to introduce yourself and kind of say how things have been going at the North Central Food Bank and kind of if there's anything coming down the pipeline, things like that.
Sure. So my name is Jeff Quick, and I'm the CEO at the Food Bank of North Central Arkansas. We partner together with the Food Bank of Northeast Arkansas, so I'm glad to see Amber here today too, and I know you'll have a chance to visit as well. But I'm a lifelong Methodist as well, and so I'm excited about the program that y'all are working with. Thrilled to know that our conference is supporting our local churches and efforts to reduce hunger in the communities that we're established in. I think as I listen to our local agencies, the real deal on the ground right now is that we have more and more people that are coming to our pantries and to the different hunger relief agencies that we serve. And, you know, the price of food is expensive in the grocery store when we go to shop. So our agencies are experiencing that as well as the food banks. The food is costly, more costly than it's been, you know, maybe in most of my lifetime in terms of an increase in a short amount of time. And then we also are struggling, like, you know, for instance, I've been working this morning with a semi truck that was supposed to be to pick up food, and we've struggled with the trucking company for 2 days. Tomorrow will be our third day to struggle with them, and we were told again this morning, oh yes, we'll be there this morning, and then within minutes get a message that it's going to be tomorrow morning at 8. So, you know, it's not just the price of food, it's also the price of the fuel. It's also whether or not we can get a truck underneath that or not. And then all the while, you know, when we saw the last increased significantly in numbers of people coming to the food banks, it was at the beginning of COVID. And not long after the beginning of COVID, the federal government stepped in and really undergirded our federal safety net with some pretty strong support, whether that be the child tax credit or SNAP increases or increases to USDA commodity programs. All of those kinds of things were just kind of really lifted up and increased. Well, those over the last months or so have been slowly coming to an end. And one at a time, they're kind of slipping away back to that pre-COVID kind of level of support to families. And that's about the time that this inflation started hitting. And so what we're noticing, for instance, with the USDA TFAP program, which is commonly referred to as commodities, is that while it's reduced, they're having those same struggles of increased prices and difficulties in transportation. And we're seeing that we have actually less commodity foods through the TVAP program in our building than we did pre-COVID. So in addition to us having a hard time buying things more expensively and finding transportation for it, the federal resources are back at least to pre-COVID, and some of them to less than pre-COVID numbers in terms of pounds or meals that we're able to distribute. Christy Jordan, my counterpart in Jonesboro, and myself and others from around the region, several states, will be gathering in San Antonio during the first part of November to
Uh-oh, he's stuck.
Oh,
so that's kind of where we're at, and hopefully that will help you out.
Thanks, Jeff. You kind of cut out us on that last little bit. Y'all headed to San Antonio for?
Yeah, we're going to be meeting with the regional offices for USDA and
Okay.
trying to address some of those issues and see what we can do to work together
Good.
to resolve some, hopefully.
Yeah. And just when food is so expensive for everybody, our families are going to be struggling more.
Yes.
It's hard. Yeah.
And Amber, if I said anything that you disagree with, well, you just disagree and tell me I'm wrong, okay?
No, I agree 150,000%.
Okay. Well,
Anything
good.
else to add? What are y'all experiencing anything different, Jones, for us?
So yeah, my name's Amber. I am the agency relations coordinator here at the Food Bank of Northeast Arkansas in Jonesboro. Hello, Pam. Long time no talk. I literally talked to her like 24 hours ago. So I was like, oh yeah. So yeah, I just to kind of harp on everything Jeff said. First of all, I want to say I normally look better than this, but we had a distribution this morning. So I currently have a heater underneath me, and I'm not taking this jacket off because I'm still cold. But I also, like Jeff, I'm also a lifelong Methodist. I was born and raised in it, and my grandfather was a Methodist minister for a long time. And now I have a cousin that's a minister too. Actually, she just started at a church in Little Rock. But really, yeah, we're facing the same things that Jeff is. In that, first of all, our money that we're getting donated to us is not stretching as far because the prices have gone up for everything. We could say used to that $1 donated could help provide 4 meals. That's what we had for our food bank. And now it's down to 3.5 because of it. But it's also something to where, because stuff is so expensive, we have to be very, very strategic in what we are able to purchase. But at the same time, there are, just like Jeff said again, there are more and more people coming to pantries. I saw it this morning at our distribution. That was probably the busiest I've seen it in a very long time. And so it's definitely something that I don't want to say it's like a perfect storm, but it kind of is right now, because donations themselves have dried up as well. because the supply chain, if a store can sell it or put it on their shelves, they're going to do it.
Mhm.
To God, they will do it. I mean, it might have 6 dents in it, but they're like, nope, still good to be sold because they need the money. And they need product on the shelves. So it's definitely something, because we're constantly trying to get that, because, with purchased food today, it's just hard to get that. And then all pantries can just get that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the same issue, of course, with the commodities and stuff. I remember peak COVID, the amount of USDA food would be ridiculous. And when COVID first hit, it was like, we were almost like drinking from a fire hydrant because there was so much stuff. And because people were like, oh my gosh, all these people need food. But now it's like, well, guess what? COVID's kind of over. So you kind of have to just hope for it. And so that's kind of where we're at right now, is trying to meet the need whenever the food resources, you have to be very, very creative in how you get your food today. And so I'm working with agencies right now. Most of the agencies I've talked to, they're reporting high numbers. And so it's a matter of also trying to figure out, okay, sometimes you might have to save food to be able to have for other distributions, because there's no guarantee the food that we have now in our warehouse is going to be there whenever you need to pick up next. So
Lindsay mentioned that from the Northwest, that they're handing out less food in some places to have enough food to go other places. Is that, y'all are dealing with that too?
Yeah, we're dealing with that, especially with the TFAP program, the commodities program, where we used to send out anywhere from 6 to 8 items in one TFAP distribution to a household. We're now doing 3 to 4, and there's just no promise that we're going to get the next load. We're missing and this may be more for Amber and Northeast Arkansas, but we're missing as many as 3 to 4 truckloads, semi-loads of TFAP food a month.
Wow.
And they're scheduled, they're just not showing up.
They're not showing up. Wow.
So now I'm gonna turn it over to some of our local ministries, and I just have some questions to kind of get the conversation started. In general, if you could just say who you are, where you're from, and kind of give us a rundown of your ministry. So things like, how often is it? Have you seen the number of people increase during COVID, or is that now increasing due to this inflation and people having more need? And just how things are going in general. Did you shut down during COVID? Have you reopened? Anything like that. So whoever wants to go first.
I can go. This is Robin Kerr at the Melbourne United Methodist Backpack Program. And I think when COVID first started, our ministry kind of slowed down. We provide bags of food once a week to school-age children, and mainly within our elementary school. We do have a few people in our community that we also provide food to, and some of those are related with families that we have provided food to. And so sometimes we get referrals that way. We do have our counselor at the elementary school is really good to give us a list of who needs food. Usually we have had anywhere from 25 to 40 kids in the program. And as you guys talked about, we've struggled a little bit with funding and trying to make those dollars stretch and we have actually had to cut back on the amount of food we give every week just to make sure that our dollars stretch as far as they can to make it through the school year.
That's hard. Okay. So you're still trying to serve 25 to 40, but with just less food?
Yes. We're still,
Okay.
we probably went from giving, 15 to 17 items a week down to, 10 or 12. So.
Okay.
I guess I'll go next. I'm Pam Lee from Bay United Methodist Church, and I've been here about a year and a half. We started, we had a food pantry. They had a food pantry going when I was here, but they served about 8 to 12 families. We're now up to about 40 to 45 on average. So it's a big growing situation. We're trying to get USDA approved or commodity approved, and where we have been, Amber. So, but we're working on that. We're working on upgrading the food pantry, and we're now doing 2 days a week. Or in November, we're starting 2 days a week with the commodities as an extra added in. So we got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Does that mean it's me?
It does.
Well, I'm in the district office, and at the church I attend, Central Avenue, we have just a blessing box, and I could fill it every hour if I had the stuff, but we don't. So we've had to limit it to once a day. We will fill it, different times during the day, so that we hopefully get different people. But we've been told many times that it's the same person that goes and gets it and takes it all. And there's nothing we can do to control that. There really isn't. And other than sit out there with a guard and say, no, you took yesterday, you can't take today. But so I do have access to, of course, the charge conference forms with 200,000 reasons reports. And some of them don't fill them out. The form is kind of complicated. It's
Okay.
It's too long. There's too much stuff on it.
Okay.
But I have noticed that there are some churches that did report that are not reporting this year.
Okay.
I've also noticed in pastors' reports, because I get to read each one of those, that they've talked about having to cut down the amount of food going out and through blessing boxes or food pantries or whatever. But the need has grown and grown and grown. As far as the literacy thing item of it goes, I'm just going to get my spiel out. We have a literacy box out here in front of the district office. Thought it would be perfect. We have put Hispanic or Spanish language books in it because there's many in this neighborhood. It doesn't even get stopped at. No. If it does get stopped at, it gets opened, the door left open, and the books scattered all over the ground. So very much thinking about taking it out. The one over at the church, very little does it get used. Yeah. So I don't know, there needs to be, I guess there needs to be a different way of distributing those kinds of things. I know that some are going to give away a book with their trunk or treat. Everybody will get a book when they trunk or treat, they'll get one. But the food, there's a lot more food that they need, but they can't afford. And a lot more people are wanting it, needing it, including elderly.
Okay.
So, and thing I have had to get over to my church is these people may not have a stove, so don't send complicated things that they have to fix. Because we have seen somebody sit down outside the food box, open a can, and start eating corn or vegetable. So do things that are pop top, don't have to be heated, don't have to be cooked. And that's a hard thing to get over to people because they think they need to bring I don't know, just all kinds of stuff. And then I've had I know some of the Hispanics have put bags of masa in there, and it gets broken open and it's all over, and we have to clean it up. And oh gosh, it's a mess. But anyway, those are what I've seen and what I read about in my forms.
Okay. Good to know, LaDonna. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, blessing boxes are tricky. A lot of people like them because it's an easy way of helping, but there's a lot of stuff that comes along with it. And so, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Pam, do you want to speak a little bit about the food choice at y'all's food pantry, how they go through and select what they want instead of just getting handed food they might not eat?
Would you ask?
Pam.
Okay, yeah, Samantha, we have been letting them shop. We have grocery carts where they go, and we have it set up very similar to a grocery store or a cabinet where they can go through and they can shop. And we're limited on little space now that we're moving into a different part of the building, but we're still going to give them, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, we've made out food cards with the amount of food that they're able to get. So they're still able to go through and shop, but they're limited to like 3 fruits and such. But we made these food cards out to help them to know what to get. And but we give them choices where they can actually go, and we've had green beans since I got here. And I told them, you know, if I was shopping for myself, I would not eat green beans 365 days a year. So that it's been a real learning experience for my folks here that, you know, we have to break out and get some other things like soups and different things. But the clients have been real proud of the fact that they can go through and they can get what they want and look at the things and have a little bit of dignity to get there.
Pam, would you send me that little sheet that you made up?
Sure, Amber.
Do you all have any questions for our food bank representatives, for me or Mary Lewis? Anything like that?
I can't tell you how many times we're gonna have green beans in here, Pam. Sorry. We love.
I know this, Amber. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But they may not have the stove to heat them up.
They don't. A lot of them don't. And I ran into that in South Arkansas when I was working with a food bank. We bought turkeys for one of the holidays, and this family just cooked it over an open fire and was eating the crusty stuff off of it. So yeah, it happens.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's these stories, you know, people forget what kind of situation families are in. If they're coming to ask for food, there are other needs that they're also having to sacrifice. And so those moments and stories certainly help teach that and remind us of that. Becky has always, a couple years ago, they did a Christmas giveaway, and she'll tell you the story where she showed up with a family pack of toilet paper and the client burst into tears. They had not had toilet paper. And so it's these simple things that we forget. People are in worse situations than we want to imagine.
Mhm.
And we need to imagine that and think if it were me, what would I need and what would I do? And so, yeah. Well, is there anything, so quick question, volunteers, we kind of heard from Northwest that volunteers are harder to come by. Are you 3 experiencing that as well? Or the food bank's experiencing that, having volunteers come?
We're
I have
having
a
really
volunteer.
good luck with volunteers right now.
Okay.
I
And I
think
have a
some
great
of our
group of-
agencies I'm sorry, I keep interrupting.
That's
I
okay.
think some of
Go
our
ahead.
agencies are struggling with that a little bit. Robin, you go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I have several volunteers that have been just a godsend because they're retired and they love taking care of taking the bags of food to the school and everything. And so, and then I have others within the church that anytime I ask, they're willing to do whatever's needed, you know. So we have not seen that so far. So hopefully,
Good.
you know, I think we'll be okay as far as our volunteers are concerned.
Oh, that's good, Robin. Madonna or
have-
Pam?
We have reached out to the school, the high school. We have not had anybody come yet, but we've reached out to the high school and to the Wesley Center because they both have to have hours, community service hours. But also I've been out visiting with the Senior Citizen Center, and we've had several of the ladies from the Senior Citizen Center that was willing to come and help man those days, like when we give out food. So that's been a great help. But knowing that the children or the young adults have to have community service hours has been a big help, because the Wesley Center rep came and helped us one Saturday. So he was so appreciative of what we do for the Wesley Center. So that
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And Pam, if you ever find yourself in a pinch with volunteers, just holler at me. And if I don't have any plans, I'll try to make my way over there. I might have just dug myself a hole. I will
Speak out,
say,
Amber.
I'm just going to say, I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so don't call me this weekend. I'll be in Little Rock.
okay.
But so I can say, I know some of our other pantries in Northeast Arkansas, they've had issues with volunteers. The issues that they have are that some of them, they just don't have the capability to lift like a box or something like that, or if they're using like our Service Insights Oasis program, they don't really understand that stuff. So they really need younger people to volunteer, but it's difficult to get them. So that's kind of what I've been hearing from volunteers. There was a little bit here at the food bank where we were trying to get volunteers and we couldn't get anybody. Right now with the holidays, people are just calling us and being like, I want to come volunteer. I want to come volunteer. I'm like, why don't you call us like in May or June? But so right now I think the food bank, we're pretty good on volunteers, but I know our pantries, I've talked to several other pantries who are always in need of volunteers.
I would say that some kind of interesting places to find volunteers that you might not think about. Pam mentioned, I think, the school district. We have a ton of students that come to the food bank, and that's different for us now because we're in Mountain Home versus having been in Norfolk for some years. But the Mountain Home School District has students here almost every day of the week and at least one Saturday a month. The other thing that I would say is that your sheriff's office and the jail in your county has, I think they're called 309s. They're state inmates that that have the ability to go outside the jail and help. And so like in Marshall, they're 309s, if that's the number that they call them. They actually go to help load and unload the delivery of food to them. And I think that they even have some of those guys that are there to load cars for clients during the regular distributions. The other thing is, if you could get engaged with a probation office, anywhere that an adult has to do some type of community service hours, that can be a good resource for you as well. I'll be honest with you, they come and then they work a time or two and then you won't see them again. But be grateful that you got them that time or two, and
They're
then
warm
just
bodies.
have that good relationship where they're continuing to send you more. And, you just don't anticipate anyone actually completing 600 hours with you or whatever number they have, so.
I would say, just like he said, when it comes to schools, maybe reach out to some of the athletic teams or something like that, especially like when football ends, stuff like that, volleyball, when that wraps up. I think you do that in different clubs, Beta Club, FCC, FBLA, whatever the acronyms are for school clubs, I would always reach out to them as well.
Those are great ideas. I hadn't even thought about the sheriff's community or the probation. I mean, kind of a neat idea to invite them to serve with you and to see where that goes, from the
A lot of
church
times we hear
perspective.
them say, I'm in jail. I can't care for my family the way I should. And I realize that it's obviously too late to do anything about it, until I get out. But at least I know I'm doing this for somebody else's family. And,
Yeah.
so they feel like it's kind of their chance to give back.
That's really neat. I like that.
So a lot of the shelters will help you out too. So if you have a residential treatment program, or if you have a program where people are coming out of the prison system and it's a halfway house kind of setting, any kind of homeless shelter or program that's engaging people in work, you'll find that there's a time between the first day for that person to be in the shelter or the rehab center, and they're not able to go out and have a job yet, but they need to be doing something. And so if you can capture those days or weeks before they actually get into their job role that's paying, then that can be a good source for you as well.
That's great. That's a good idea. Yeah. Jeff and I were talking about ministerial alliances, or inviting other churches to help and ways to engage. He mentioned, elderly people can't really lift. They're often our volunteers in churches, but they can't lift the heavy boxes and things. And so what can they do? And he said, hand out banana bread or greet is one thing that we were talking about. But Sam, I wanted you to kind of explain to them one of the things Becky does, because we were talking with the Northwest group about how do we connect with those who are coming through? How do we make our time, even if it's brief, less transactional and more connectional? When and I know, Robin, that y'all don't really see the students, y'all are seeing the counselors, but Pam, you see this, and LaDonna, Central may have, or other churches, you just knowledge, but some ideas on how to connect in meaningful ways in that short moment that we're with those families. And I wanted her to share, Sam, to share about the birthday. Yeah.
Yes. So Becky was telling us that their food pantry once a month has a birthday cake. So when the clients come through, everyone gets a slice of cake, but if it's your birthday, maybe that's the only time you're going to get to celebrate it. And so when we talk about food choice and letting your clients have some dignity, helping them celebrate their birthday is one of the ways to do that. And we thought that was really cool and a really good way to connect with the people that you're serving.
Yeah. Have y'all found any other ways to connect?
We had a young lady that was a Girl Scout probably about this time last year, and her project for one of her badges, or I was never a Girl Scout, sorry, I don't know what they do. So anyway, her project was don't laugh, Mary Liz, because you're probably sitting there thinking, sure you weren't.
You could have been.
So anyway, her project was that she, through her church and through her friends and community or whatever, she invited people to help her make birthday bags for one of our pantries. So she found out through us and through the Salvation Army how many children do you have under the age of 18? How many of those are teenagers, preteen, and littles? And then she started gathering different things. And so her birthday bags were literally a big birthday bag, a happy birthday bag that was filled with age appropriate toys or games or activities, the tablecloth and the candles and the all the stuff. And then she partnered with, I think it was Town and Country Bakery, who gave gift certificates for the family to go and get their cake for the birthday party.
Wow.
And so she did all that as a part of her project. And I want to say she might have even had a fundraiser event that she did to add to the gifts. And then she presented all of those to the Salvation Army. And we have great pictures of her and her family that they were just so proud of her. Who wouldn't be? Great idea for a young lady to do.
Yeah, this is a
Awesome.
great idea.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure the rules with FERPA, but if you could work with the schools and the backpack programs, you might could figure out there's 5 birthdays this month and just do special bags. And then the counselors, without knowing the particular kids that have the birthday, you could maybe do that in the same sort of way for backpack program.
Make them available.
Mhm.
Mhm. That's a great idea.
One of the,
And
one
parts
of-
of these are, go ahead, Pam.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the ways that we're trying to connect is, I know like LaDonna said, and we were talking earlier that people don't have an oven or they can't cook. One of the ways that one of our ladies come up with is we're going around like to the thrift stores and stuff and buying crock pots for those pinto beans and stuff. You know, you can get them for like $5 or $6. And we're just going to, if the families has a need or they don't know how to cook, we're going to give them some recipes and the crock pot to go home with them.
Great.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yep.
great.
Good ideas.
Yeah. This is a great idea.
So as we're talking about ways to expand in the conversation of there being a lack of food and access to things all the way around, I'm going to share my screen for just a second to show you some funding opportunities that are available. Some of them are United Methodist and some of them are just for anybody to apply. So if you go to the ARUMC website, this is our 200,000 More Reasons page. And you scroll down here to grant applications, reports, and awards. If it will load. We have this funding resources document, which is 9 pages of ways that your congregation could get funding for a variety of different things. So there's things through the federal government, things through us and the Methodist Foundation of Arkansas, but there's also just in general literacy grants, ways to find foundations that might be doing funding and things like that. So if you're ever looking for a funding resource, this would be a great place to start, or you can reach out to me or Mary Lewis and we can kind of help you think through some of the other ways to get funding.
Mhm. Admittedly, that list has been around a long time, but Sam has gone through and made sure all the links work. But Blue and New grants, Walmart Community Foundation grants, there's a lot of ways to piece together some extra money right now during this time. Because unfortunately, we can't give out as much as we would love to give out. We just don't have, I don't have the money for it. But that's one reason we wanted to kind of see where you are is, can I write a grant for the foundation that will help? We had written a big grant for the past 3 years around food, and that is ending in December. And so I'm trying to look for the next thing that might pique their interest. And so these conversations are helping me be able to express exactly what you all are experiencing and saying what all you need. Because they do have resources for sure.
Robin,
I would
one of the things that we have a resource, because I know you're in our service area, we still have TANF summer food boxes that if you're partnering with your local school district, you can know if those students that you're serving qualify or not, and our staff can help you understand what that means.
Okay.
But it literally is like if they're on free or reduced meals or SNAP or WIC or our kids, I mean, there's about half a dozen different things that qualifies them.
Okay, the school is
Yeah.
still providing free lunches for everybody. Would that
Okay.
qualify? Or-
Yes,
Okay,
I think so. Amber, isn't that your inclination?
I would think so. I'm not 100% confident, but I would think so.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think as long as your student is receiving free meal at school, then they would qualify for this. It's about a 20-pound box of food
Yeah.
for the entire family. The food is free, and there is some reporting that goes with it. And TANF is serious about their reporting, but it's
Yeah.
not overwhelming. we can fix you up with that if you want to give us a call.
That would be great. Yeah. Especially with the holidays, I think that would be a good thing with those coming up.
Yeah. I would also say that statewide, we were a recipient of a community development block grant this year, the Feeding America Food Banks and the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance. And so your community may have been pre-selected based on poverty numbers and other indicators to be able to be eligible for these community development block grant foods. We get food once a quarter through that program, and it would be worth checking with Amber or myself or someone on our teams to see, hey, does my community qualify, and can I be a part of that program, and what is that going to require for us? There's almost zero reporting on that one, which is nice. All the reporting is done either on the food bank level or the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance level. So that's a really great piece to be a part of. And it's shelf stable food boxes already pre-packed as well. And then there's also ground beef that's a part of that piece.
Okay.
The other thing is, if you're not encouraging right now, you should be in your communities. The Arkansas Hunters Feeding the Hungry program. If you go to Arkansas Hunters Feeding the Hungry website, you will find a list of processors across the state where hunters can harvest their deer, field dress it, take it to the processor, and the processor will process that meat at no cost to the hunter, and then call the food bank or the food pantry that the hunter identifies as where they want to make that donation to. Hunters Feeding the Hungry pays for the processing at, I think, a reduced fee because of an agreement they have with the processors. And then that is fresh, frozen venison, but it's typically all ground up as well, a little easier to manage in terms of recipes. So this is a great time to encourage hunters to donate their deer. And oh, by the way, if they want to keep their back strap because that's the best meat, then just tell your processor and they take care of that. But it's also a great time to encourage hunters or fishers that they understand every time they buy their license, $1 goes to that program to be able to pay for these processing fees. And if the person behind the cash register has been trained properly, they're supposed to ask us, would you like to make an additional donation to Hunters Feeding the Hungry today while you're buying your license? It's a good opportunity to help people understand how easy it is to get really good protein, some of the best lean protein that we have available to us out pretty easily.
That's fantastic. I didn't realize the licensing piece of that. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Arkansas Hunger Relief is a great, if you're not a member agency, it's $25 a year, but you have access to capacity building grants and other types of grants. And they hand out a lot of money through those grants each year. So you can get some other benefits, including access to resources. So do encourage that one for sure.
Timing's right too, because those grant applications will go out sometime about December.
Yeah.
And awards will be made, February with money in March-ish.
Yeah, it's a good time. Mm-hmm.
I have a question. We have started a community garden too. Are there grants for such things as that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in fact, we are waiting on a response from Arkansas Blue Cross Blue Shield. They have funded ours and the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance in the past. And there's mini grants, miniature, not many with a lot. There's smaller grants. I think they're $1,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood that would go a long way at a local pantry to make that happen. And then if you are looking to do that, be sure you join and become a member of the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance, because Brandon Chapman is one of our staff members there, and that's what he does. I mean, he's not going to come and nurture it and, you know, water it every day for you, but he can help you get it, the ground broken, and the, you know, the starts for your plants and all kinds of stuff. So
We've got stuff planted and turnip greens coming up, and the community is talking online about, oh, they're beautiful. And so we've got a good start, but and we've got volunteers from the church that are actually, the men are having fun growing the things.
Good.
And trying to do stuff, but you know, we need some input, and they need some materials, you know, like things to do with.
So those grants are good. I mean, that list we have, a lot of them have, you know, they want to help communities that are struggling around nutrition and health, and so community gardens do fit that criteria in that. So emphasize that in your grant, you know, how you're providing nutritional produce for your food pantry clients.
And another group to reach out to would be the U of A Extension Office, your local extension agent. They do a lot of work around community gardens as well.
Okay. Another great resource. Any other questions?
With Bishop retiring, what do you see down the road for this program? I know this has been a big push for him as well. So we don't even know who the next person will be, but like, what is the future of this program, or what do you know?
Well, I don't know anything except for the fact, you're right, Bishop Muller, this has been his baby. And he came up with this idea because of the success of Imagine No Malaria when we did it with Bishop Crutchfield, as far as having something that unites the conference in mission. And so, and this is not something a lot of conferences do. I think we're fairly unique in that. So we are praying and hopeful that the next bishop will see the benefit of this focus, and how it does bring us together and helps us. As churches, it helps provide an impact in the community and a way to connect, but it also gives us a way to say to the state, to the people outside, hey, we are committed to something bigger than just bringing you to our church. And so we're hopeful it'll stay. We think it'll stay for a while for sure. The funding, you know, I don't get a lot of funding from the conference. It primarily pays for salary, and that's it. And so any grants I make are made totally from the Methodist Foundation and gifts from the annual conference that usually comes in from the annual conference meetings. And so I am hopeful that this will continue. Will it be his baby? I doubt, or her baby? Maybe not, but her. Let's her. But it will be. I think it's something, because of it, we don't have a lot of negative around us, whereas other things do, that I think this will hopefully stick around until the new bishop figures out if there's maybe something else to do in addition to. But I think where we are in this process, I think we'll be able to keep it around. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah. And even if we have budget cuts, we're planning on that as well. Yeah.
And then I have one more question. Spring grant cycle. Do you have something like, do you know dates or times or?
Yeah, it'll start, we'll open it up in January, and then Sam may be looking at those exact dates. I don't know, but March, usually I think it's going to be a March deadline, and I'm terrible with dates. I think it's March 10th. Is it March 10th?
Yes.
Yeah,
they will
March
be
10th
on the 10th, and we will announce them a couple weeks later.
Yeah, after spring break. So,
But they'll
yeah,
open
but
January 3rd.
Yeah.
So
we'll have that application open then, and it'll be a similar application to what we've done before. So
range of is that a 2,000 to 5,000?
It's up to 2. It's
up to 2.
Yeah. So I rely on Methodist Foundation primarily for that cycle, and then whatever money kind of comes in between to support it. So it used to be that we could do $36,000 to $40,000 total. Now we're down to between $25,000 and $30,000 total. So around the $2,000 mark per grant is what we can do. Mhm. And even then, like this time, I was able to get out 30,000, but I had over $73,000 in requests. And so, that's another thing to go back with Mackie on. So, we're getting asked for a lot more than we have to give,
Mhm.
sadly. Mhm. And it's hard to pick. It's really hard to pick and narrow down those grants. Samantha's been through one process with us. It's a hard one, for sure.
So
All right.
yeah, as we wrap up, we have a couple of things coming up in the next few months. We're in the midst of Collectober in preparation for In-Gathering. In-Gathering will be on November 12th. We would love to have you sign up to come help us
Yeah.
down at the
At
Arkansas
the food bank. Yeah.
Yes.
But also, if y'all happen to see or know that every district is involved with this, and Pam and LaDonna and Robin, Chase Burns is in charge of In-Gathering there in the Northeastern District. Part of our push is to have food collections, and local churches find a local place to give or to their regional food bank. Just it's not something we're organizing as far as saying bring them all here and then we'll disperse. We're just encouraging local churches to find a place to donate food. And so if you would like to let them know you're willing to take that food, you should let them know. For sure. Okay, sorry, I wanted to say that about Collectober.
Absolutely. Also, just as a reminder to please fill out your charge conference paperwork. That is really helpful.
We're going to work on that form, LaDonna. Thank you for letting us know it's too
Please,
complicated. You know, it used to be open-ended and that was hard.
Yeah.
So, well, do we make it checkbox and people can just check it? So, but it's
It's so little, you can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I have to really get there and look at it to see if they've checked a box. And then I will save their form. If they haven't checked anything or written anything, I don't save the form.
Right.
And I don't push them if they haven't filled one out because
that's too many people to have to push.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Too many people.
exactly.
Too
I'm
many
pushing
people.
them enough about insurance, safe sanctuaries, financial concerns, pastor's compensation. I'm pushing them enough.
Yes,
know.
amen. LaDonna does.
I
And
just push
then
you today.
we talked about the spring grant application cycle, so that will be happening. And then on February 4th, which is a Saturday, we are very excited. We are hosting an adverse childhood experience / trauma-informed ministry training to help pastors and their congregations navigate how to minister to people who have experienced trauma without harming them more. And we're really excited about that coming down the line as well. Anything else we have going?
Just so y'all know, since y'all are all in United Methodist churches, we're not only inviting our feeding ministries and literacy ministries, but we're also going to reach out to our youth ministers, our children's ministers, and clergy, and make it more about, we all know we have adverse child experiences that inform how we function in the world, but then recognizing that other people do too, and kind of connecting, how do we build better relationships with those that are coming through our compassionate ministries and through our fuse and into our services. And so that's kind of this promoting the healthy, stable family connection for our feeding ministries and all of our ministries. That's what we're doing.
But thank you all for joining us today. It's 1 o'clock, so we won't take any more of your time or your lunch break.
Yeah. We appreciate y'all. Sorry there's only so few of us on here, but I think the conversation is very helpful for us, and hopefully for you three.
And I hope so. And I did advertise it over and over and over. But
I did too. I've sent out lots of emails, LaDonna. It just happens. We're going to have this recorded and then we'll have a YouTube link. And so we can share those links, because I don't realize people understand what they're missing in these conversations with all the ideas we threw out. So we may have to figure out, Samantha, another way to do a bullet point. This is what you missed. And then here's the link to the YouTube.
Right.
So.
Oh, yes. And we will be sending out a survey since we're not having as many people show up as we were hoping for. So if you've given us your information, so you it would be helpful to fill out the survey, but we're hoping to reach more people that way as well.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
you.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Y'all
Y'all have a
behave.
good day.
Back to the church conferences.
Bye, y'all. Thanks, Day.